Thank you, Todd. Man, thank you everybody that has shared so far. Casey, it was just really, really powerful. I think this call is going to be it's going to continue to be powerful as we learn so many lessons. I think from the way Jimmy lived his life. Right, it's the most important thing that you can kind of pass down is a legacy and lessons for everybody that you've had around you. So seriously, thank you guys for sharing that with us. It was a hard weekend, obviously, but it was also, I thought, a wonderful tribute to Jimmy at his funeral in Weaverville on Saturday, and very grateful to have some people that were able to be there, that were able to speak, that can continue to speak on Jimmy's life for those that weren't able to be there. And I think we also have some pretty cool videos, songs, other things that we want to get to. But before we get into that, we need to show some leaderboards, because if there's one thing that Jimmy would say is that winning matters. It's important. Leaderboards matter. They're important. So let us hit those first. All right. You can get a look here at who all is going to be joining us for this call right here. And I would encourage you, even if you never had a chance to meet Jimmy, stick around. You're going to learn some good stuff today. I promise you. Top 10 new writers for the week. Number 1, Jenny and Chuck Aguilar with $19,483 in your first week.
Well done.
With the company.
Not a bad first week out.
Got a live boot camp coming up.
That's all DFL. Great job, Chuck and Jen. That's all DFL first week. Keep going.
We have got to get a lock on my door.
Either a lock on your door or a muzzle on
Resma. I want to say, like, Jenny and Chuck, so glad to have you guys. Heard so much cool stuff from the Kimbrells and Frank and the Brenez group. And I'll tell you, Brandon and Casey, they and Pope, they're not here to play. There's a live event going on in Vegas this weekend. And last I heard, they already had over 50 people registered to come.
Don't mess around. Why are you going to mess around?
Why?
I ain't got no time for messing around, Jenny and Chuck. Let's go. I like it. Top 3 producers: Eric Gurr, Ronald Williams, and Sean Hogue with $23,355. Way to go. Top app count getters tied with 13 for third place: Sean Hogue, Michael Flores, Monique O'Reilly with 15, and Shannon Turner with 17 applications. Sabrina Fernbacher, $2,500 on the Medicare supplement board, just kind of tripping over it here and there, you know. On the DI board, Michelle Flanagan, Andrew Welch, and number 1, Amanda Torma with almost $5,000. Top IUL producers: Catherine Christensen, Val Zarn, and James Johnson, $20,826. That's a heck of an IUL, buddy. Maybe a couple of them. Top annuity producers: William Davies, Daniel Guerrero, and Easy Eddie Pritchett decided to write $401,000 in annuity volume this week. Well done, sir. Top 3 debt-free life producers: Kimberly Fallscheifter with $15,612, Jenny and Chuck Aguilar with $27,545, and George White with $47,191. George, way to go, man. That's big numbers.
Go ahead, George.
Come on, George, show him what's up. Look at that. Boom. Need to unveil him a little bit more. Where you at, George? Boom. Where I am, almost 50 grand in a week. That's where George is. See, some of you guys could just go and do 10% of what George did. You live a great life, make a lot of money. Just 10%. You can do it. All right. Top recruits for the week: Ashley and Tyler in the base shop board with 10 as number 1. The directs board, Jacob Pogue with 39 for first place. Licensed Ashley and Tyler with 7. Jacob Pogue with 23. That is crazy. We've seen a big flip, guys, on licensed recruits. We used to be very heavy in the non-licensed recruits. We've kind of flipped it from 70-30 to 70-30 licensed to non-licensed. Numbers are actually going up. More and more people out there sharing on social what we're doing. Those of you that are getting QMS deposits, that'd be a great way to share it on social. And maybe we'll share one of those here in a minute, Todd. We don't want to get into it just yet. Top base shop riders, Griff Martin with 3, Sean Shannon on the directs board with 10 new riders. And look at all the SNAs. Bridget McHale, Destiny Babcock, Gavin Powell, Jenny and Chuck Aguilar, James Furman, Janet Richards, Jess Busa, Joseph Shortell, Kelly Brown, Shania Padilla, Sherry Dillard, Tammy Cooper, Timothy Locum, and Wyman Smelly. Well done, all you SNAs. That's what I like to see. Time to slingshot yourselves. Here we go. Top key leader for the week, Julie Mai. Top agency owner for the week, Ronnie Williams. Well done with $54,000, 513. Way to go. Top agency directors, Larry and Ann Griffin with 99,000. Top regional agency director, Eileen Balmer with 145,000. Number 1 managing vice president, Mr. Chris Cook. Pretty close with George and Janet Matthews. Number 1 senior vice president, Kyle and Lisa Kimbrell, 225,762. And we see you there, Jimmy, $140,000, carrying on that legacy. Love to see it, man. Carl Miller, number 1 on the executive vice president board with $182,000. Lynn Watkins with $736,000. That is a monster week. That is a monster week.
Look at there at Ashley and Tyler. Got their photo updated this week, and Design sent it back to me. And I mentioned Tyler really needs to get in the gym.
He does.
You know,
he does. I think that is.
Give me a call, Tyler. I'll get you my workout regimen, brother. That
is a really good Photoshop piece, isn't it? Because I've seen that Ashley standalone for a while. Is that what happened there? I don't think it's a new.
So we took some of those
combined. Modern technology.
So Agent Success is going to be reaching out to everybody because the marketing team has a process for everybody to follow, to send us in photos that easily format into what we're doing here. But yeah, so supposedly they use some kind of technology where that's a solo photo of both that they merge together.
Looks good.
We live in the future, Brandon.
We are living in the future. Edward Pritchett with $930,281 for first place on the senior partner board, and Marshall Whalen, number 1 on the managing partner board with $924,856. Man, those two are back and forth all year, all last year. Great competition and great camaraderie between them. Number 1 on the directs board, Mr. Jacob Pogue, $195,000. And look at Kevin Purdy. After breaking out 2 directs, still hanging around on the directs board. Love it. KP. Top base shop, Mr. Edward Pritchett with $56,435. Way to go. Got some promotions. Top producers, Misty Hutton and Jennifer Giovanni. Top team leaders, or new team leaders rather, Austin Whalen, Daniel Hogben, Raina Grossman, Rhina Perkins, and Tori Willig. Look at all the key leaders popping up. Amanda Keenoltz, Cameron Henderson, Deshaun Coddington, Hannah Rose Grace, James Patrick Slingo. There's an interesting story on that one. We'll let Ruth tell it later.
Yep.
Jennifer Giovanni, Karen Young, Megan Simmons, Tiffany Newton, Wayne Simone, and Jennifer Gray. 5 new agency owners. Christopher Smith, Glenn and Ann Groff, Richard Osterhout, Luke Jackson, and Susan Jansen. Congratulations, everybody. That makes for new agency directors as well, with Devin Johnson, Klaus Lutze, and Marty Valor. 1 new rad, Mr. Jordan Shank. Shank, way to go. Look at the new MVP, Jordan Hunt. Yeah. Brad and Kira Gainey. Nice. Sean Shannon, the new EVP. Amy Fine earned her promotion up to almost the top. And here we are, Casey. Yes. The Champions Cup. What's at stake? everything. It's all at stake. Well,
we're getting close to announcing
stake.
Where the trip is going to be. Ethan is putting the finishing touches on some stuff, and
it's looking good, isn't it?
You're going to want to hear where we're going. It's going to be fun.
It's looking really good.
Real good.
Yes.
Real good.
He pulled it up on my computer yesterday, and I was trying to figure out how I can negotiate for you two to let me go be there to support the winners.
I was looking at it this morning too, getting fired up about it.
It's really amazing. Maybe next week, but maybe the following week.
I think it's going to be the week after. Yeah.
I don't think we've got an announcement for next week.
Yeah.
So here are our current standings, and don't forget that these will be trued up at the end of the month as net placed production comes in, but we like to keep a leaderboard in front of you so that you know where you are on a submit basis. Okay. So Jenny and Chuck, I mean, why not jump into the contest your first weekend? I like it. Sean, Whale, Billy, and George W. Not George H.W., but George W. Way to go, George W.
Nice.
On the directs board, Mr. Delaney, Mr. Monteith, Mr. Purdy, Mr. Pritchett with the points, and Mr. Poe.
Oh.
Way to go. Top corporate. Remember, we're taking our top corporate producer right now. That stands as David A. We like to leave it a little secret on the last names, don't we? If you hang around here long enough, you'll know every one of these people if you hang around here long enough. Just a friendly reminder, please make sure that all of your writing numbers in HQ are up to date. We have some great upcoming events starting tomorrow. Mr. Darren Stubbs, Ryan Gaska, Dan Millette, Chris Leak on more issued paid. Perfect timing for that. We have our final expense webinar with Gary Keith on Thursday as well. Monday's training call. We have Ben Sekipur and Chris and Andrea Smith on part-time to full-time to agency owner. Love that message. Casey, I know you're not much of a TikTok fan, but have you been noticing all of the people on TikTok that are kind of flushing the job and looking for a little piece of the gig economy?
Seems to be a viral thing these days.
It does. Any famous TikTokers listening in today, maybe you should let them know all about it.
That's right. What
has your experience been? You'll see more of us talking about it as well coming up. There are a lot of people out there that need your help. DFLIVIN with Mike Resma on Tuesday, November the 23rd. Is there an announcement, gentlemen, about the call next week?
So next week, we've been discussing a little bit with the advisory board, trying to figure out the call. The national call next week lands on the day before Thanksgiving. It lands on the 24th, right? So the thought is, since we are on the biggest back-to-back week production-wise, pretty much every category as a company that we track as an important metric, whether that be new riders, unique riders, SNAs, slingshotters, volume production, any metric we're looking at is way up as a company. We are in kind of historic waters right now as a company. And so our thought was next week to just lean into the week as leaders, everyone kind of intentionally get behind making sure that we're just kind of keeping our heads down. Let's not let a holiday, become a week, as sometimes it can for people. If you haven't earned the freedom and the ability to take off more than a few days, don't take off more than a few days. Let's keep the momentum going. There's nothing worse than kind of starting off your December or going into the holidays at the end, in December, or trying to start the year off strong and just kind of limping into it. I've done it before. I know a lot of you guys have made that same mistake before. As leaders, let's be intentional with our teams. Let's not let that happen. collectively as a team, we are running with the ball like crazy right now. So let's keep the record weeks coming in. We're gonna cancel next week's call and let everyone just wrap up what they need to in the field and get ready for their holiday. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good point. Specifically, how do you do that? The best way to do that is utilize Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, but certainly get out to a quick start on Saturday, Sunday. If you're not one that works on Sunday, I get it, totally understand, but you got to readjust your calendar and you got to be proactive in how you do that. Get all of the activity front loaded. And if you accomplish what you want to accomplish, and hopefully that means that you can enjoy all the way through a long weekend of Thanksgiving with your family, because we certainly understand just how important that is, especially after the last 2 years. I know everybody wants probably to be traveling a little more than they were. Be safe with that, but get that activity in on the front end and you will enjoy it so much more on the back end.
And how beautiful it is that we're, this virtual world we're in now where, most of our sales, 70, 80% of our sales are coming virtually, but be it Zoom or even just telesales, and how that's a lot different than when you and I were in the field, Brandon, heading in before holidays to actually go and meet with someone in their home for an hour and a half or whatever was a little bit trickier sometimes. But it being virtual now, us having the products that we have now, like QLT, and the traction that's getting, it's so quick. Sarah, my wife, just applied for a policy. She might have broken the speed record. She was done in like 7 or 8 minutes with printed policy in hand. She said that might have been the easiest thing I've ever done in my life online. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So
yeah, it is.
Can I jump in and just say one thing? Because I say this every year, but like when we get into the holidays, 2 things. Change your mindset on this, because 2 things. Number one, people take more time off, which means they have more free time. And a 15-minute Zoom or a 20-minute in-person, everybody has time for that. The second thing is people open their wallets during the holidays, so they're more apt to spend money. And $100 is nothing when they're spending a bunch on Christmas and Thanksgiving dinner and things like that. So flip your mindset on that. I've found exactly the opposite of what a lot of people's tendencies to think is, oh, people are busy and all this, the other. They actually have more time and they're willing to spend more money.
Good point.
Well said.
Yep. Be intentional, change your mindset, front load your activity, and then enjoy the heck out of your family. That makes up the perfect week next week. Okay. But you got to be intentional about it, which means load up on the leads. We have an amazing, yes, sir.
Brandon, before we get into Make-A-Wish, let me give everybody just a quick reminder. And if you would, get out a pencil or pen, take a quick note, type it in your phone, if you will. On Monday, there was an email that was sent out from an address that is no-reply, no-reply at orgacuity.com. No reply at orgacuity.com. Check your email, check your spam, find that email. What that is, guys, is this is a part of the annual Quality People Insight Survey, an initiative led by Brian Williamson. It's truly going to revolutionize, guys, how we can show up as leaders, how we can recognize areas of growth, areas of excellence that we need to duplicate. It's truly going to provide people insights, guys. And Brian Williamson's entire goal is that if we can help you identify barriers to profitability quicker, we can help you work less hard, make more of an impact, and have more of an income. So as long as you have at least 5 agents respond, you will get a manager dashboard. And that dashboard will allow you as a manager to even look into your results and actionable insights to the ways that you can maybe improve on your agency's performance, or identify some areas where you might want to have some conversations to make sure that everyone's on the same page and we're all rowing in the same direction. So just wanted to make sure that I bring everybody's attention to this email. It's very important that we all participate. This is absolutely from the true heart and intent of Brian Williamson to help us all get better, recognize where we all can show up in our best way, in the fastest way possible. So please, whatever it takes, Brian says, throw a party with your agents. We want to see as many people as possible complete these surveys. And he did want me to clarify. He's gotten a few questions about people saying that this survey kind of seems like it's more of a W-2 job and not a 1099. But guys, we understand that, but it's by design, the way this thing is created. The language itself is very important for accuracy. So we understand that we're a 1099. It might come across as a W-2, but answer the questions as they read and know that this is going to be a great impact in your business moving forward. So that's it, Brandon.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, it's an important one. Everybody take a second to take a picture of this website. If you have not registered yet, if you're driving, maybe don't do it right now, but any other reason, get registered for the event tonight. Come and join us tonight. We want to break records with all of you. And I think it just lines up really well with being able to honor not only Make-A-Wish, but being able to honor Jimmy as well. Because he certainly was someone that made a huge impact, as you'll hear shortly. So please join us tonight, event.gives/Quility Impact. There's going to be a lot of really fun and really cool things going on. You won't want to miss it. I think there's going to be several of us, Casey, even here at the home office, which is really cool. A lot of people are in town visiting for filming and such. So please make sure that you join us for this one. It's going to be really good. Also, we have our Reimagined Conference coming up. Casey, are you getting nervous? You have to speak in front of a lot of people.
That's right. Always nervous up there, but hey,
Right.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yes.
It's
It's
gonna be an amazing conference. So
going to be the coolest room that we've by far, obviously, that we've ever done anything in. So reimagine2022.com. Room blocks are available. Those are filling up quickly. Make your plans, get your tickets. This event will happen, and we can't wait for it. It's gonna be awesome. And I believe that's it. You know, one thing I did, Casey, one more thing I wanted to mention, and I mentioned a video and I mentioned a song. We do want to kick off with a video here in a second, but I also want everyone to be aware that Joel Skeen and his band wrote and recorded a song for Jimmy that I think we're going to play at the end of today's call. But it's also going to be all over our social media. He wrote that not only to honor Jimmy, but also as a way to raise money for the organization that Jimmy started several years ago with the girls' school in Kenya. So any amount that you pay to download the song, it's on Bandcamp. Any amount that you pay to go to the song is going to go straight to that organization in Jimmy's honor. So we're going to play that song later. We're going to have all the information for you on social media on how to find it, but just want to put that on everyone's radar as well. Any other announcements before we?
I think let's watch this. Let's watch this tribute.
Okay.
The more you give, the more you get. Be a giver. Give compliments. Give grace. Give kind words. Give positivity. Give empathy. Give humility. Give support with words and actions, but also financially, even before you think you're ready. Be a giver. What you put out in the universe will multiply and come back to you. But most importantly, right now in this divisive world, we need to give love.
When Jimmy talks, you listen because he's got a perspective. You need to hear that from someone like Jimmy. And I love it because he really helps everyone to understand that these are the things that really matter in your life. And I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to articulate to people.
To know that, like, I did it. I found the company and I made the impact and left a legacy that will forever be within my family, and my little girl doesn't have to start all over or not reap the benefits of the work that I put in. I've said it before, but I hope you all listen to me, that it's important to design your life that'll allow you to dream like you'll live forever, but being so intentional that every day could be your last. Turn those some days into some today, and please spend your time doing mostly what you love with who you love most.
Jimmy, in one word, he liked to win. He liked to win in competitions. Sometimes the competitions weren't even with another person. They might have just been with himself. But he didn't believe in playing small. He didn't believe in mediocrity. He always believed in raising the bar and playing big. And he expected every single person that he surrounded himself to do the same.
And just watching him fight, watching him live with courage and fight with courage and live every day like it's his last, but have dreams for the future has been amazing.
Jimmy truly epitomized joy and authenticity, and I never had to guess how Jimmy was feeling or what he was thinking because he lived life out loud.
You are a true eagle, and we're so proud to have known you. Love you, my friends.
Jimmy challenges me. The legacy is challenging me to live my life to the fullest. We love you, Jimmy. We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you for everything, for that very first conference, walking off the stage and you telling me, John, you have what it takes. Just don't quit. And in that point in my life, I was beat up and broken and everything that you could imagine. And I just need as many people that I looked up to and respected to say things like that to me, and you were one of them.
I worked harder on myself than I even did on my business, discovering that when you develop enough to find the best in yourself, it really makes it easier to find the best in others. See, we've all heard that hurt people, and free people, but you can't free people if you're hurt, and we all are in some way, so get your crap right, suckers. Make this a self-discovery journey like the most successful people here have done. When I truly bought into this, not only did the law of attraction start to show up in my business, but I also stopped being affected by some of the small things like people being mean or rude or negative or nasty. They're hurt people. I feel for them. I want everyone in the world to know how much that I love my little 2-year-old. She is the reason that I exist. She's the reason that I fight every day. She's the reason I wake up. I love that child more than life. I'm so blessed to have gotten to have her no matter what happens to me. But I surely want the world to know and to continue to make her know that I love her so much and I loved her so much and that she is not alone. That's probably the most important thing for me. The other time capsule is I want to see what those ears do. I want to see, I'm waiting on those and see what kind of crazy impact those make to all of us that were smart enough to try to go out and achieve them. Because I think that's going to be just a world of just change everyone's life so dramatically. I really do. So I think that's it. Obviously I love my wife. Of course, she's been incredible. This is probably a different time capsule than you're used to because I'm speaking like I could not be here in 10 years, and most people don't speak like that. But I plan on it. I plan on being here in 10 years, and I will break this open and love to celebrate with my little daughter how much I told you guys that I loved her.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Man.
Oh, what a great video put together by Lindsay and her team. Thank you guys so much for putting that together, sharing that with us. I swear I need to listen to that speech from Jimmy at the virtual conference every day. It was so good. It was one of the best speeches I think I'd ever heard from anybody. And we've had some pretty dang good speakers, not only in the company, but as guests coming to speak in front of our company. And I can't say that I've ever been more moved than I was from hearing him there. So, at the end of that video, he says, I'm speaking like I won't be here in 10 years. Jimmy's going to be here a lot longer than that. And I think that's a testament to all the hard work. And, you guys have said it in the previous call, and all the hard work and the grit that he showed, and just how so many people would have quit, given up, not continue to pour in. And he used all of that as motivation, and especially his family and his daughter and his wife, Cynthia, use that as motivation to keep pushing and building things. And, we've heard stories, Casey, of Jimmy being, literally in a hospital bed getting chemo treatments, or in a hospital bed in Mexico getting some other types of treatments. And still jumping on a call to pour into somebody.
Yeah. Still
taking a call from an agent or one of his managers to try to make an impact on them and help them make a sale, or help them recruit someone, or help them become the better version of themselves. And that's who Jimmy was. And he would challenge you. And it wasn't just his downline, Brian. He would challenge all of us. He would challenge you as his upline. He would challenge Eddie. He would challenge me and Casey and and Brian. And he was never one to kind of hold back on what he thought was needed and necessary to make things just a little bit better. And I think it's that drive to try to get as close as you can to creating the best version of whatever it is that you're trying to create. That was one of the things I think that made Jimmy so special. And there are a lot of lessons in that, right? The next time that you get hung up on, or no showed, or an agent quits and goes MIA on you, just try to remember how small those things are. Try to remember what's important and what you're fighting for. We shouldn't be faced with the things that Jimmy was faced with, to constantly remind ourselves what it is that we're fighting for. That was crystal clear to him. And he made that clear to everyone else around him. And it drove him when, like I said, most everybody else would have quit. So there's so many lessons I think that we're going to pick up today that will help all of you, not only in business, but I think that will help all of you become better people, the best versions of yourselves. And we're just so honored, Brian, to have so many people that were really close to Jimmy have a chance to say some words here. You and Cicily and Melissa, Miranda, John Ziller, Eddie Pritchett, Trey. We got to hear from so many people in Jimmy's, from his downline, his managers on the previous call. So if you missed that, we'll make sure that you had an opportunity to hear that as well. But Casey, I know you had some things to say too. I will say that it was one of the best funeral services that I think I've ever been to. There was a lot of laughter, a lot of tears, obviously, but hearing from those closest to Jimmy was something special. And hearing from his family, man, they were a rowdy bunch.
They were.
For those that don't know, Jimmy was one of 18 siblings. One of 18.
Yep.
Which might explain his toughness and his grit just a little bit as well, at least a portion of that. They were rowdy like Jimmy. They were rambunctious. There were a few outbursts during the funeral that were absolutely hilarious. And then we got to go to the graveside, and Jimmy had it set up for this beautiful scene with bagpipes, and there's these fall leaves, and there's mountains in the background. And I thought it was just a really special way to honor the man that Jimmy was. So
yep, I agree, man. Well said. And Pope, I want you to say a couple things too, but first of all, I just think that I'm just really grateful. First, that the funeral, we've just been through a couple hard months. As a company, we've lost some really good people, in Matt and in Jimmy, and I'm just grateful for the culture and the community and the family that we see through stuff like this, and we see through these hard times. The bigger we get as a company, maybe the more often we end up losing people, but we're reminded of what we have together, which I think is very, very unique. It's something I've never seen before, and it's something I'm incredibly grateful for. I know, Brandon, you and I came away from the funeral saying that, like, man, it kind of filled us up in a way. But with Jimmy, I think the main thing is, like, I think we were all so inspired by Jimmy, especially this last 3.5 years, at the growth he went through, at the growth that he caused his business to go through, at the impact he made, with the attitude in which he went about this, with the fight he had. Inspired is the word that comes to my mind. But, I just, when I think that I can't get more inspired, I hear the words at the funeral and the words on the last call and the words that we're going to hear today. And I would just encourage everyone to think about what people are saying about what Jimmy did for them. Because when I hear what you guys talk about, it's inspiring to me. It reminds me of what, I should lean into more, what we all should lean into more around making impact in people's life. He challenged people. He didn't just passively let people either win or lose. I've heard so many stories of people saying, Jimmy called me after, Tim Pinso is sharing, one of the first times he ever spoke on a national call. Jimmy calls him right afterwards and says, are you not grateful? I didn't hear a word of gratitude. Tim is like, man, he's challenging me after I just got off a national call and kind of poured my heart out at what I learned and what I'd learned from this company, but I didn't really kind of mention much. It was just who Jimmy is, and it's like, and I just think that's such a good example for us, that if you want to have this ripple effect that you're going to see today and that we've heard about since Jimmy's passing, and the amount of impact that Jimmy made, you can't just passively sit by and let this stuff happen. You actually have to challenge people, offer support, and that's where impact is made. And that's what Jimmy showed all of us.
Well, I just want to say a couple things. Number one, Jimmy was a very interesting person. I have to say I've had some extremely entertaining and interesting moments with Jimmy. And I will say that, what I probably appreciated most about Jimmy was his authenticity. Like, he just said it like he saw it, and he didn't claim to think he was always right, or he just said what he thought, and he was unapologetic about it. He never, he was like talking to a brother or a family member who feels they have the right to tell you what you need to hear, right? Which is great, which is awesome. And that's what you want, But I'll tell you with that, because, Jimmy also wouldn't blow smoke up your butt. And but he cared, and he was, he reminds me a lot of my wife in that, what you see is what you get, but he never complained. I've been on some trips with him. We remember that ski trip we were on. He was miserable. Do you remember how miserable he was? He never complained once, right? Another time we were in St. Thomas, and he brought his mom. And so what an interesting person his mom is. And I got to know his dad through his mom. And it was very interesting, eclectic conversation, the three of us, and then Jerry chimed in. What an interesting group of people, Yep. But probably the most entertaining, I played a lot of golf, but probably the most entertaining round of golf I've ever played was with Jimmy and Delaney. I don't even remember who the fourth was. It might have been Pritchett. They bitched at each other like an old couple for 18 holes. In a way, it was like watching a sitcom, right? I couldn't tell, are they serious? Like, I didn't know if a fist fight was going to break out or if they were just going to start laughing and hug and kiss each other. But it was one of the most entertaining, if not the most entertaining round of golf I've ever been at. Jimmy got so sunburned, and he put his sunscreen on like 2 hours too late. right? And so then he caked it on, and his face was white like a mime, right? And he was sweating, and it was running in his eyes, and his eyes were burning, and he was miserable again. Never complained. I love that guy. He was one of a kind.
Never a dull moment. I remember
a dull moment.
I remember his pirate shirt. Remember the pirate shirt he had on that one of this company trips we went on? He gets on the bus with this like frilly looking pirate shirt. It had
like the Seinfeld poofy shirt.
Yeah. And everyone on the bus just heckled him like crazy, and he just loved it.
He didn't
But
care.
some of the times he was like being with Chris Farley.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, like just he was a very entertaining person, and I don't know if that's an experience everybody else had, but he was a character.
He really was.
He was. Brian, we will certainly turn it over to you to bring up some of our speakers, but also just wanted to say to you, you know, man, how much we respect you for the way that you took care of Jimmy. And man, that was hard for you, you know, having to be front row for that for, you know, the past 3.5 years, but I think the past 3 months, you know, I think I think everybody on this call hopes to have someone like you. We hope to never need it, but we hope that when we do, or if we do, we've got somebody like you in our corner, buddy. So everybody watched how you took care of him and how much, just want you to know how much we appreciate that. We love you, buddy.
Thank you, guys. And that's something that Jimmy knew is if you want to have it, you better be it first. You better be it first. And that's who he is. That's that part of him is alive and well and growing in me, and challenging all of our capacity is the only appropriate response. Only appropriate response to challenge our capacity. Because I watched that dude challenge his capacity to love more people, to care more about people, to give people the truth, and to give it at the right time, to grow himself so he could be a part of other people's growth, and to be grateful. This is a guy who could get everything on his own, and he knew it, and he could be prideful, but instead he turned that into grateful. And just can't say enough about, you know, the fact that Edward Pritchett brought me into a organization like this. He set up, he responded to your guys' call. I was able to respond to his call, and Jimmy was able to respond to our call to step into a new place in his life. And man, that guy stepped in just like he always did. With like, that was a giant jump, and he made a huge impact. Not a slow one, a fast one, and nailed it. And there were so many times, and that's what real friendship looks like. Real friendship is not always right, but it is always real. And there are so many stories that we can all tell, but I really wanted to tap a few people on the shoulder to share some of those stories, because we all have a piece of Jimmy. But when we start to put it all together, you get the real picture of who that man was, as a son, as a father, as a brother, as a husband, and just as a real friend, as a mentor, as a coach, as just a business partner. And I can't thank you guys enough for doing that. I can't thank Edward enough for just being who he was and stepping up to the plate and challenging me to be the type of leader that could attract and really push somebody like Jimmy as he pushed me, and people like Trey, Alderson, Cloutier, who, well, along with his leaders, with Ian Graham, Josh Busick, and Joel Skeen, who all three of them have had an amazing impact in his life. You know, all that makes sense, but the things that don't make sense in real business are the impact that he had sideline, and the impact that he had on other people who were around him. And that's how you know it was real, because he couldn't stop himself even if he wanted to. he couldn't stop himself from being a positive force in other people's life. And so I just want to share with you guys what I've gotten to know through the people who've gotten to know him. And there's people like Mike and Sarah Pappas who aren't on this right now, just because we had to stop. We had to stop somewhere. Stopping with them is not a great place to stop, because they were just such a big part of this journey with Ayres and Cicily, Newsom. And so I wanted you guys to get to know him through Miranda and through Ziller and through Melissa Banning. And I think that's where I'd like to start, is just, through my journey of being with Jimmy and just seeing him through and just being a friend through those hard times. I got to meet some of those other people who were not just fair weather friends. They weren't just there when things were good. They were there all the time. And one of the reasons that a lot of us got to say goodbye to Jimmy, and Jimmy got to have a farewell party, is as a result of Melissa and Ethan Banning. They were there to help support and just be great friends to everybody. Knows about Cynthia, and Cynthia is an amazing, amazing wife. And so Jimmy is so incredibly lucky to have found her and her sister, Deborah. And just, that having Sierra there, and Melissa and Ethan and their two daughters have just been phenomenal support out there in Arizona. So Melissa, I know you had some awesome experiences, and you were a big part of a last dinner that we all got to share with him. So I'd love for you just to share your memories of Jimmy and just what he meant to you.
Ryan, thank you so much for having me on. I'm Melissa Banning, and I'm direct to Ashley Tarr in the Ashley Tarr Danny Young hierarchy, and just incredibly grateful to be able to share today. I was fine until the video started rolling, and then it was the cry fest. So forgive me if I fall apart here, but I got to know Jimmy before I even came on board with Symmetry on one of the carrier trips in Ireland. And when he's one of the first people that you meet in the company, you're kind of like, whoa, I don't know if I need to be appalled by how unfiltered he is, or if I should be excited. But I was a teacher, and had been signed up by Ashley and my husband to take my exam. And I was just like doubting whether I had what it took. And after 5 days with Jimmy and his brother and the team in Ireland, I came back and I was like, I can do this. Like, I can do anything. I can climb a mountain. I can be the best in the company. Like, he makes you feel like you're the only one in the room. He speaks life into people and hope into people. And that's what he continued to do in our friendship. And so last year he and Sentia and Deb and Sierra moved to Scottsdale, Arizona. They were just a few minutes from our home. And so we got to do life with him. And, when you're doing life with someone in their final stages, you really get to see, when you squeeze something, you get to see what's really in there. And I can't begin to articulate the joy that just he epitomized. Every single time I tried to have a conversation to see how he was doing or what I could do to help him, he would shift the conversation into trying to speak into my life or speak into one of my girls' lives. And a memory that kind of stands out is, in the last few months, he was fighting hard. And like, Brian, I know you shared this, and it was shared on the builders call. Jimmy never once thought that it was going to be even a chance that he wasn't going to make it. And I was having a conversation with him the week before he passed, and he was just like, it's the only time I ever saw him cry during this whole process. And he was just crying incessantly. And he was like, I just never thought that we were going to come to this point. And so we got a chance, like, how many people get to throw a party, for their friend, a goodbye party. And here, Ethan and I thought we were having this huge party and creating this event so everybody could have a chance to come and love on him and say goodbye to him and celebrate his life. And there was a lot of tears that night. There was a lot of laughter that night. And he tells me on Friday when we're saying goodbye, I didn't do that for me, Mel. I did that because I wanted to plug you in with the 120s. I wanted to plug Ethan into all these people in the company. He wanted to pour back into us, because for the last year, he's been pouring so much into our business and into our lives. And he wanted to make sure that when he was gone, that we had these relationships that were lasting, that would continue to pour into us. And that's just who he was. Even when we're saying goodbye, I'm trying to tell him how much I appreciate him and how much I love him and what an impact he made in my life. And he's like changing the subject and trying to talk, to me and tell me how grateful he was for everything that I did. He epitomized the culture of what Symmetry is, of servant leadership, audacious gratitude, audacious generosity. I mean, he's taking us to the spa, and we're like, no, let us pour into you. No, I want to take you to the spa. And, down to the last 5 minutes that I had him getting to say goodbye, trying to pour in last bit of knowledge or wisdom or encouragement for me to continue to grow. And so we're just honored and grateful we had. It was the hardest part of the journey to watch, because when you're watching someone that you expect and care about passing and you're saying goodbye for the last time, it's a really difficult thing to do. But I have to say that our lives are changed. And I'll close with this. When I met Jimmy, he told me he would stand outside of the bar with me in Ireland, because I would call Ethan to say goodnight because the time changed, and he didn't want me to stand outside in Europe by myself. So that's just the kind of guy he was. He was like my bodyguard, like my big brother. Probably comes from being one of 18, right? And he was just that, he would say to me, I wasn't listening to your conversation, but I really want what you and Ethan have, the way you talk to your husband, the way that you talk about him, like you have something so special. And I got to see him have that relationship with Sencha. I got to see him have his happily ever after. I got to see him become the father that he wanted to be, and to be molded from this wild, like reckless guy in Ireland to this amazing, thoughtful, intentional father, husband, brother, mentor, friend. And although that time was cut short, and all of us can grieve that, I'm so grateful that I got to see him, pass with everything that he ever wanted and more, just minus the time. And so our lives are changed because of it. We're so grateful for the relationships that he articulated those, and he made sure that those happened to make sure that his legacy could live on. And so thank you for having us share. Ethan and I are forever grateful for the time with them. And we're so grateful that we get to continue that relationship with Sencha and Deb and Sierra and their little dog Buddy, as she spends the winter here in Arizona. So thank you for having me on, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know how much of an impact you guys had on his life, and I'm so grateful for that. So yeah. And I know how much of an impact Jimmy had on everybody who's on this right now. And so just as you're hearing other people share theirs, while still soaking that in, just feel free in the chat, in the Q&A, to share your memory, the impact what was the thing that he said to you? What was your impact, whether it was said directly to you or just experienced through a webinar or through a conference or just inside a relationship. Just share that on the Q&A as you're listening to others. John, I wanted to just give you an opportunity. You guys get it together, John. Come on, man. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity, because I knew how I know how special your relationship was and is with him, and just how much of an impact you had on his life, because you were again another person that he held really close. And I always was so grateful that he had a friend like you on his side, even to the last, just making sure to be there in person and just say what needed to be said, all that could be said. And thank you for your relationship with him as well.
Thank you. Man, if like a therapist was watching me right now, they would think that I have like 7 different personalities, from laughing and crying. And gosh, Brian Pope, I had the exact same experience that you had 2 hours late. I mean, cake face. And I look at him, I said, gosh, dude, I said, you look like a snowman out here. And he went up to go hit his ball, and his club actually went further than his ball did, because the iron had slipped out of his hand. And I walked up to go grab the club, and we were only 50 yards out, and he had like 5 iron. He had a 5 iron in his hand. And I'm like, dude, what are you using? What are you using this for? And he was just a complete mess out there. And God, I loved it. Just so many funny memories with him. Man, this is, you guys keep talking about impact. And Jimmy had one of my first conferences, I think it was actually my second conference, where he actually kind of like recognized me on stage, and it wasn't in the most positive light. He went up there and it was like a bad agent versus a good agent. And right when he started talking about a bad agent, he put a picture of me up there when I was making a really goofy face. And I hadn't forgot that. We had went out later that night, and and we, afterward, we went and got some euros. We went up to his hotel room. We were laughing. We were messing around in the bathroom. He took a big bite, and like this Ziki sauce went all over the side of his face. And I took a picture of it, and I wore this shirt on stage. And in wearing this shirt, I was so proud of myself for getting back at him. And later that night, we had kind of met up because I was opening, as I was on stage, I was opening up the shirt and kind of showing everyone what the shirt that I had made without saying anything or pointing anything toward it. And I later on that night, I went to him. I'm like, dude, come on, that was good, wasn't it? And he took it to a serious level. He goes, I want to make a truce with you right now. And he pointed over to Brandon, Brian, and Casey as they were standing in a little circle. And he said, those guys trust you on that stage, not to distract, but to impact. And he said, John, that was a distraction. He said, you have so much to give and you're so talented. And I'm like, here, hold on. You just bashed my thing and now you're lifting me up. You guys all sat here in just the way that he challenged people. And he brought so much challenge to me in such a positive light because he cared on my way of becoming on my run, to the top contract level. And I know that he was kind of in his run to the top contract level as well. He would constantly reach out. I had never thought to really kind of like reach out and pour into other people. Like I was just so focused on me and myself and my journey and where we were going as a team. And I learned so many valuable lessons from him just during that like short couple week period of time. He taught me how to properly run contests and pour back into people. He wanted to make sure one of the things that I got, one of the biggest things that I got that I carried moving forward is he wanted to make sure that I focused on what everyone on the team needed for their promotion, because then I would ultimately get what I had needed. And I had this big like run to 120 thing, and it was all about me in that moment. And from there, I immediately turned the tune. Josh Busick, you said it earlier. You don't recruit people to build your empire. You recruit so they can build theirs. And again, just constantly, every single opportunity that he got, Melissa, you were spot on. He just took it as a challenge to make us better, as a challenge for us to see different things. I spoke to him about how I had a hard time making a connection with people as I was building this business. And I said, you know what, because out of every 10 that we hire, there's 4 or 5 that are definitely not going to be around. So why would I take that time, energy, and effort to pour into those people knowing that they're not going to be here? Why don't I wait until they show me what they can do first? And then I'll attach my heart to them. And then I'll show them what I'm made of. And then I'll show them how much I can help them. And my goodness, he stopped that thought process in its tracks. And he really made me look at the complete opposite side of it and saying, John, no, look, man, you have to give first before you get. You have to give it. You don't know who's going to pop up. You don't know who's going to be good. You don't know who's going to be great. Don't prejudge people based off of them making a few extra phone calls to the next. You don't know where people are at, so meet them as close as you possibly can to where they're at, so then that way they can become something better. The travel trips with him, Puerto Rico, LeBlanc, Costa Rica, Malta, Rome, down to Tampa and just Arizona, so many different places. I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him so much. I the final message that he sent to me, I'm so grateful for it. All I said was simply, Jimmy, I love you so much. And he said, yeah, man, you've been one of the besties for the last few years. He said, I'm going to miss you like hell. Come visit my place when you're in Asheville for stuff. And he said, even though I may not answer, just speak to me sometimes because I'll be listening and then I know I'm not forgotten. Back to you, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. And just somebody else who's been a friend and so much more than that. Miranda, I remember, long before that, you were somebody who, as a result of Jimmy having you in his life, he became better. And there's a small handful of people in that inner circle. And as a result of having you in his life, even when you were down, you were going through your own struggles. You were right there in Mexico with him. I showed up to Mexico, and you were there first, helping him navigate that, and you were his strength in so many ways. So I just want to pass it along to you.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I should not have gone after John. I don't know what I was thinking. But no, I think that when I think of Jimmy, one of the biggest things that comes to mind is toughness. Competition would be another word. Vision. He was the type of guy that as soon as I met him, it was a competition, like immediately. I remember he came up to me and he said, I had put up some good production and he's like, are you an elite producer? And I was like, I think so. And he's like, well, only like 5 people are elite producers at Symmetry, so I don't think you're an elite producer. And I was like, oh, I think I read like 58 grand and then 40 but I wasn't. Okay, to make a long story short, I wasn't an elite producer. Jimmy was. So that whole year after that, it was like my mission to become an elite producer. And what was really funny is I never did it. I never quite could become an elite producer. And just looking back, I think it's because like I had to make sure that Jimmy knew that he beat me. Okay. But to like even the score, I did actually end the year averaging $35,000 each month. I didn't make it to the 40. But man, he never let me forget it. And every Zoom call now it says TP. It doesn't say EP because I never quite met that. But he was like, as everyone's saying, the type of guy that would make you a better person because he would call you up. He never let any single person off the hook. Even my 3 and 5-year-old kids, when they were playing Wii Sports, he wouldn't let them off the hook either. And he would do his very best even against them. But I saw him go through things that would break people. I really kind of got to know him when his house burnt down. When, you come home after like a day in the field and he just lost everything except the clothes that were on his back. And he said, and that even really wasn't, if he would have known, he would have picked a better outfit. But what happens is you get to see what people are with. Everything's easy when life is easy and going well, right? But you learn a lot about people when things are hard. How do they handle it? What is their toughness? And you just saw when things got worse for him, he became more grateful, right? He started to really open up. I got to see him, like all these people that you're hearing as agents, like when he got out of the field, and I know when his house burnt down, it forced him to get out of the field. He took that activity, he took that competition to spend, I think one day, like on a normal day, he was doing 15 to 25 interviews a day. And then in between that, if someone would no show, he'd pick up the phone and he would call his agent. And he was checking in, he was wheeling and dealing, and he was building his business the same way that he was when he was in the field, right? He was not here to be mediocre, and he wouldn't accept mediocrity from anyone that was around him. As far as golf goes, he's the type of guy that wouldn't let me golf on the women's tees. Only golf, I had to golf on the same tees as him to keep it fair, and we always kept score. But he never made excuses, and he wouldn't accept them from other people. And I think this is one of the the hardest things for him is when he got sick. Like, he wanted to be the guy that never made an excuse. He wanted to be the guy that never complained. He wanted to be the tough guy, the guy that raised the bar, the guy that did things that were impossible. And I think one of the hardest things that I had to witness was him trying to hide that from everyone. And see what had happened in the meantime, because eventually it got so bad that the world had to know. But I think one of the things that I just think that he'd want every single person on this line to do, based on the life that he lived, like, he would say, don't be a wimp. Okay? He would say, don't be a wimp. When you're making excuses, when you get in a victim mindset, I would call him. Like, he was the guy that I would call. And I felt sorry for myself. I'd call him. He'd be like, he'd hear me out. He'd care. But then he'd be like, stop being a wimp. So I think just every single person on this line, you're stronger than you think you are, right? Like, he carried that winner's mindset to the grave, right? He said that that he wanted to, like, dream like he was going to live forever. Spend tomorrow like, I cannot even talk right now. He said to dream like you live forever. I can't even talk right now in the car. But I just think that every single person should just be a lot tougher because of what he went through, and to honor his memory. It's like, hey, we're all stronger than we think we are. Be in competition with yourself and have that unwavering focus, because that's what he would have done. He had every single thing lined out, and we saw him knock every single goal off one by one. So, Jimmy, I'm just going to miss you like crazy. And I'm just going to be better because of my friendship with you. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And his life was better as a result of your friendship, Miranda, without a doubt. And as a result of getting to be close with you. So, yeah. And as far as somebody who knew Jimmy in ways that other people don't, Jimmy, I remember when Jimmy brought Trey on, and just getting to watch their relationship and getting to watch you as a person grow as a result of Jimmy, and getting to watch Jimmy grow as a result of you. Just know you put in him the confidence that he could be a great coach and help someone get to the next level. And it was not only because of the quality of his coaching, but the quality of your response, Trey. And it was between you and your just partnered right up with your leadership team, with Ian Graham, Josh Busick, Joel Skeen, just being able to help drive Jimmy to the top of this company. And for as much as he ran, you guys ran with him. And just can't tell you how grateful I am for all those years of partnership for Jimmy, and the fact that you guys all stepped up as a team when he got sick, and you didn't let the team go down. You helped push the team up, just like he always pushed people up. So I want to hand that off to you, Trey.
Thank you, Brian. Trey, Alderson, Cloutier, direct to Symmetry Financial Group, part of the Spiel Dinner, Delaney, Pritchett hierarchy, and so happy and grateful to be so. You guys will have to forgive me if I sound nasally. I'm recovering from a cold right now, actually, that I got in Asheville. Thank you for the opportunity to speak a few words about Jimmy today, in honor of him. Jimmy found me when I actually had responded to a Craigslist ad in late 2013. And for me, I was just sick and tired of the service industry. I really wanted a change in my life. I was 24 years old, and my best year financially was, $30,000 a year. And Jimmy really, over the, first few months that I met him and started to work with him, I really liked him. And the reason why was because he had the ability to tell me what I needed to hear and not, blow smoke up my butt. He was actually the perfect mentor for me at the time. And over the years, as we grew our business relationship, it actually blossomed into a beautiful friendship, where I actually started to look at him not only as one of my best friends, but the big brother that I never had growing up. And I remember in November and December of 2014, I was in a pretty tough position. I had only written one policy both those months. And honestly, just really considering quitting the business. And I didn't. And a big reason why is because two things happened. Number one, Jimmy flew down to Florida to run some appointments with me. And what I learned from that time together with him was you could be doing all the right activities in this business, but if your mindset is not right, it's all in vain, right? And so he helped correct my mindset during that time. And ultimately what happened was I didn't want to quit because I didn't want to let Jimmy down. Like, he had built that relationship up so well with me that, and he believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. He'd spend hours and hours on the phone with me every week, coaching, mentoring, came down to Tampa every 4 to 6 weeks to help, help grow my team, to pour into me. We'd spend, we'd go out to dinner afterwards. We go to Top Golf afterwards. Brian, you were there several times. And every time I just got to know him a little bit better and a little bit better, and to where my loyalty and my trust grew even more because I got to know his motives and his heart better. And what I learned about Jimmy during that time is that he truly wanted everybody to win. He didn't care if you were downline. He didn't care if you were crossline. He wanted you to win, right? And what I also learned about Jimmy during that time is that he was a fighter. He was a fighter while he was sick. He was a fighter before he was sick. I'll tell you guys a funny story. When Jimmy was going for his 120 run, he was in the final month of qualifying, and he calls me up. It was the final week actually, and he needed a really big week in order to wrap it up. And he calls me up. I was living in Indianapolis at the time, and he says, "Hey, bro," he said, "I just bought a bunch of A leads out there in Indiana. I'm gonna fly out there and run them." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." I'm like, "Where'd you buy them?" He said, "Lake County." And I said, "Wait," I said, "Lake County." I said, that's not the county that the city of Gary is in, is it? He said, "I'm not sure." For those of you who are not from the Midwest, Gary, Indiana is not the place you want to go. One of the most dangerous, impoverished cities in the country. In fact, in the 90s, it was voted as like the most dangerous city in the country for several years. Despite all that, Jimmy flies out there, and in typical Jimmy fashion, goes out, writes 19,000, sealed up his 120 run, made it by the skin of his teeth as well. And he did all this while he was experiencing the cancer symptoms as well. And the thing is, like, most of us don't know what it's like to live with stage 4 cancer. Between all the doctor's appointments and just differing opinions from the doctors, between the ups and downs, the pains and struggles of just living everyday life, he did this, and with whatever capacity he had left, he poured into his business. And even with us begging him to take a step back, Jimmy, focus on your health, he couldn't do that, right? And because if he surrendered that part of his life, it was like a piece of him was surrendering himself to the enemy. This business was so important to him, right? His teammates were so important to him. His leadership team were so important to him. He fought for his business because that's who Jimmy was. He was a fighter. The way I look at it, Jimmy's life was an invitation for all of us to fight, an invitation to fight for our health, an invitation to fight for our marriages, an invitation to fight for our relationships, an invitation to fight for our businesses, an invitation to fight for our friends, an invitation to fight for our families, an invitation to fight for everything that we hold near and dear to our hearts and everything that's important in our lives. One of the greatest honors that I have, that I get to have in my life, is to help carry the Spieltner legacy, just as we've continued to help carry the torch of the Ayres Agency after Jason passed away a few years ago. I am so proud of everybody in the Spieltner Agency, the Spieltner organization, Brandy Kimbrell, Tom McDonald, the two Allens, Mark Jaffe, Aranza, John Clayton, Derek Maddox, people on my team, Ian Graham, Josh Busick, I can't keep naming names. There's a lot of them, but when Jimmy got diagnosed 3.5 years ago, we had a call to action for our agency, for Jimmy's agency. And I'm happy and proud to say that Jimmy's organization is in a much better place now than it was 3.5 years ago. So I want to just thank the whole team for what they did these past 3.5 years, with Jimmy being sporadic and having down days, having up days. We still grew, and I'm thankful for you guys for that. Right now, we're poised to push harder than we've ever pushed coming out of this, because that's what Jimmy would have wanted. And 3 months at a conference, the Spiel Dinner Agency will be doing $1 million a month. I believe it. It's going to happen, and we're going to do it for Jimmy. People ask me why build, and I don't think there's a single story out there that, in Symmetry stronger than Jimmy's of an argument of why to build. The man worked his butt off for 4.5 years, built a foundation of loyalty and relationships that allowed him to take a step back for the past 3.5 years to focus on his health, all the while not having to worry about finances or working. He was able to have peace knowing that his family would inherit his business and not have to worry about anything. I want to thank Brandon, Casey, and Brian for putting in place a system that allowed Jimmy not only to live his best life while he was sick and here on this earth, but also creating the ownership contract that ensures that his family will continue to be well taken care of moving forward. Jimmy, you always have a special place in my heart and in the hearts of the people here. You'll be missed, but not forgotten. We will ensure that your legacy will live on as long as we're here on this earth. Thank you once again for everything you've done for my family. We will carry the torch of the Spiel Dinner Agency and your legacy moving forward. And we promise not to let you down. Love you so much, big brother and best friend.
Yeah, so powerful, Trey, for sure. That's incredible. Sign of a coach is not only when he plays for, not only how he plays for the team and how the coach really sacrifices for the team, but when the coach really needs it, how the team sacrifices for him. And you guys did that on multiple occasions, just adding value right back and multiplying that value. So that was amazing, Trey. Thank you. Thank you for your continued growth and your help and your partnership in getting this to the next level for his legacy. It's time for us to, Jimmy has ended his watch, and it's time for us to pick it up and just keep going to the next level. And along with people on the team, it's the people sideline, it's the people closest to him who Jimmy didn't have any reason to believe he would get a financial impact at the time that he was doing it. But a lot of my team wouldn't be the people that they are without Jimmy and without him challenging them, without any expectation or strategy for financial return. And that's because that's just who he was. And, two people that he did that with in an absolutely extraordinary way, and are really, and who were really great friends to him, and incredible people who challenged him right back were Ayres and Cicily Newsom. And I just want to give you guys an opportunity to share about Jimmy and your partnership with him throughout the years, because I know how much that meant to you, and I know how much you guys meant to him.
Thanks, Brian. Babe, you want me to go first? Thought you might. So I definitely want to echo the gratitude, Brian, for just having us, giving us the opportunity to speak, and Brandon, Casey, and Brian for creating the opportunity for us to achieve all these things together with Jimmy. I mean, gosh, like, this is so much bigger than business, you guys. It's so much bigger than business. It is a life's work. It is not. It's the, what is it, that it's not the work-life balance, Brian. It's the work-life blend, and we're so honored because we definitely got to blend our lives with this man over the past, 8 years. And so I'm gonna I'm going to talk about, I'm going to channel some Sarah Pappas and Mike Pappas today too, since they couldn't be on this call with us just because there's so many people. So I'm going to tell you guys a fun story, and or I guess I'll weave it into some fun stories. So we had the opportunity last summer. It was on Jimmy's bucket list for us. He wanted to see the Grand Tetons, right? He wanted to go to Wyoming. He wanted to see the Tetons, and so the Delaneys and the Papai, Ayres and I, even Brian's son Creed, Joel Skeen, we all rallied. Joel was living in Utah at the time, so he drove up, and then we all headed cross country on a road trip to meet up with Jimmy. Rented this beautiful house on the on the slopes, even though it was summertime. So here we are in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and what's phenomenal about this week that we were able to spend together is that we kept seeing eagles. Like, we roll in first day, we see 3 eagles playing in the sky together, like hovering around, even though eagles are, pretty solo creatures and don't play a lot in the field. And we got to see eagles as soon as we roll into town. We're like, wow, this is really special. And then a few days later, we're tubing down the Snake River together, and there's just this eagle that just perched over the river watching us the whole time. We're like floating right underneath this like beautiful eagle. And so we just kept seeing these eagles over and over. I think collectively we saw probably 8 eagles in the course of like 5 or 6 days, unheard of. And Sarah, I think it was Sarah, was like, you know what, like we should dub ourselves the Eagles. Like we're the Eagles, like it's a team of Eagles. Here we are together for Jimmy celebrating. And that kind of stuck, and that's just been this theme over the past year or so with Jimmy, is like, oh man, the Eagles have landed. Like, here come the Eagles. There's this beautiful puzzle that Sarah brought to Phoenix last week that was in the shape of an eagle. And it was very healing for us to be with Jimmy in some of his final days, because we're all working together on this like gorgeous puzzle. And so I thought that what I would do, echoing everything that everybody has said, but I thought I would read a little bit about the totem, like the spirit of the eagle, because I think there's so many lessons in life and in business for all of us that Jimmy taught us. And it just is beautiful how connected, once you hear some of the stuff that Jimmy truly was like an eagle, and he truly embodied that spirit. And so I'm going to read a little bit from just some excerpts on the totem. Chief of all the winged creatures, an eagle is a symbol of power and of man's association with the divine. It says it's important to understand the eagle's symbolism because it helps us find the drive within ourselves to push further and reach higher. And if I can pause and just say something personal about my relationship with Jimmy, is I didn't even know that I was competitive until I met Jimmy Spildiner. I didn't even know I was competitive. That man pushed me further to reach higher. And I competed with Jimmy. I ran with Jimmy. I chased Jimmy for all the time that we had at Symmetry together. I know Ayres did as well, but there was something in me that Jimmy like pushed all my buttons. We loved each other fiercely. We had a very competitive yet collaborative relationship. It says that understanding the symbolism of this eagle allows us to view life and ourselves from a higher perspective and believe how much more we're capable of. And, we've just heard so much of that from what Jimmy's done for all of us. It says, so to understand the symbolism, we need to question, what does the eagle mean? Being the supreme winged creature, the eagle's meaning is of power and resilience. It symbolizes for us rebirth and dawn and renewed life and a sense of direction. The eagle's significance is particularly characteristic of resilience and stamina for those who've been experiencing difficult passages in life. The symbolism of the eagle makes us realize the importance of truthful principles and honesty. And as we talked about a few days ago for his service, like Jimmy was not afraid to offend with the truth. He was not afraid to offend with the truth. If you're on the verge of embarking on a massive endeavor in life, you'll benefit tremendously by calling upon the eagle symbolism. The eagle represents leadership and authority, and those who make this their spirit animal are born to be leaders and high achievers. They're visionaries who believe in the power of expanding their self-discovery, striving to reach personal freedom. If you adopt the eagle symbolism in life, the sky is your limit. There is nothing that can ever stop you from pushing your limits. And I think that's true even in death for Jimmy right now. And I got chills when I read it, because it's like, wow, little did we know this like beautiful road trip that created some of the fondest memories. I have this picture I keep by my desk every day. That's us in the Tetons, right above where we saw some of the eagles, and I just think that that's the message that Jimmy has for us: honesty and truth and resiliency, pushing our limits. He taught me the value of partnership and real relationships, conflict and how conflict is healthy. He taught me about like having like somebody having my back, what that really means. The eagle teaches us how to embrace an elevated perspective while bravely speaking our truth. And he said in that video, like, that free people free people. I think it's no coincidence that the eagle is a symbolism of freedom. And I just hope that we can all move forward, taking these lessons to understand that this is more than business. This is about relationships. It's about striving for something greater. It's about legacy. It's about impact. And it's about honoring our friend, not just a business partner, a true friend. So I will be up there with you, Ziller, talking to Jimmy. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to speak in his honor. I'm sure that he would critique some of the stuff I said, thinking I should probably have done a little bit better. And that's why I love him. He's always pushing me to be better. And he's still going to push me even in his next life to be better. So thank you so much, Brian and the founders, for what you've done. And Jimmy, I love you. And I'm going to keep chasing you, man. Thank you. Turn it over to you, Ayres. Luckily he can come into my office. I think he froze. 1 second, I'll go grab him.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, Mr. Ayres News.
I got a feeling that was Jimmy that just did that. Kicked me off. Man, I kind of want to tell some stories that may or may not be appropriate, for Jimmy. There's some things. If you guys were not on the builders call, you really missed some great honoring words that could really help all of us create a life's direction. One of my biggest takeaways today, Ian Graham stated it, and he observed in Jimmy that Jimmy was a giver and that Jimmy was a fighter. And I think one of the greatest ways for us to live our life, and it's interesting. Like, this is interesting. Like, I love Jimmy Spilldinner to death. And I think anyone that was close to him could say honestly that, like, he was highly concerned about the way people viewed him. I think we could all say that was true. Now, you may not be able to like look at the way he dressed and believe that, but that was like really true about him. Like, what people thought of him was really important. And I think what's even more important for Jimmy is how he's remembered. And he is remembered as a giver and as a fighter, like, just, I guess 2 weeks ago playing Cards Against Humanity, just watching him play, he's never let go of that fighting spirit. I remember in April at your house there, Brian, like literally 100 yards from where you are right now, playing cornhole. It was me and Austin, against you and Jimmy. Jimmy was over on my side of the board, and he was just in so much pain, man. He was in so much pain. He couldn't stand up. He was sitting down, and you guys were smoking us, dude. You guys were just smoking us. And you're not a bad cornhole player, but you know, for the record, Jimmy was carrying you that night, you know, and even in all that pain, not only was he competitive, but he was still winning, you know, and like it was after one round, man, he just looked over at me. Oh, sweet. Hey, came back. Babe, will you go turn my camera off? Yeah. Thank you. And he looked over at me, man, and he said, you know, like hanging his head down because he was in so much pain. He was like, Ayres, man, what's going on, man? I'm dying of cancer and I'm killing you, man. How can you live with yourself? Like he literally asked me how I could live with myself, because he just so competitive all the way, like never not competitive. And I remember distinctly, I have so many great memories. You know, we traveled so much together. We did so many meetings. The way that Jimmy would just pour into people, and the way that even when we were like, it was crazy, you know, like we were competing. Jimmy, we were racing to see who was going to get you to equity partner first, Brian. You know, we were racing. And even in the midst of that, you know, Jimmy was like, hey man, can I do a call for your team? Who do I need to talk to? Can I reach out to Nate? Can I reach out to Rex? Can I reach out to Tim? You know, selfless, you know, which is unexpected from a guy that always, you know, like if you didn't know him, it always seemed like he was pointing at himself, you know, but one of the most selfless people I've ever known, you know, and he was a guy that pushed, and he would push it to the breaking point, but he knew how to push people without squeezing them, you know, and he was just incredibly skillful at that, and pushing people for their betterment, man. Jimmy and I fought plenty, you know, and when we fought, he was always fighting to make sure that it was better for other people, not just to be right. And I always admired that in Jimmy. I like, and so willing to be like, God. So that trip in Wyoming, man, like he was not in the best shape, but dude, like when we went biking that day, like I was like, oh my, it ain't cancer that's going to kill the guy.
So crazy. That was so crazy.
He crashed so hard so many times. Man, and then Pope, when we came and visited you and we went skiing, man, you remember that ridiculous ass outfit that he was wearing like that day on the slopes. And like I thought that we were gonna lose him in a tree well up there and not get him back, you know.
That big jacket he had on that he bought online that was like, what is that? Where did you get this thing? And he shouldn't have been out there with us, but he was, and he was loving it.
He was loving it. You know, he was great. Oh, was so good, man. Like unafraid, just so willing. And I think that one of the things that I just like what a great spirit in that regard. And I think one of the things that I have always and always will admire most about Jimmy, he was so committed to personal growth, and he changed so much. Like he changed so much, like that speech that he gave in February, man. Like, that came out of the same mouth of the same guy that in his first month of being here, like, he called me out in the middle of a corporate overview for being gay based on the way I was dressed. You know, like, and that guy transformed into a man that could live life with that much intention and that much care for people. I never expected Jimmy to become the man that he was. You know, he was not a bad guy when he showed up, not by a long shot. But Miranda was so right. Like, as his life got harder, he just got better. He just got better. And he came here because he didn't want to squeeze people anymore. Brandy Kimbrell was talking about that. He said it all the time. He said, I hated it. I hated what I did. I hated having to squeeze people to get a fatter bottom line. I hated that. And when Jimmy got squeezed, you know, when any of us get squeezed, whatever's inside of us is what comes out. And Jimmy gave us the times when he was getting squeezed the most. He gave gratitude. He gave grace. He gave words of encouragement. He lifted people. When he was at his lowest. And he's inspired me, like, because those are the memories that I'm going to have of the guy. And it's those kinds of memories that are going to remind me of not only what's possible, but what I really should be striving for. You know, can I be a fighter? Can I be a giver? Can I be a lifter of others when I'm at my lowest? You know, because that's who Jimmy was and that's how Jimmy lived. And that is the way that is why I have loved him and why and how I will always remember him. So thank you, Brian, for having that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just wanted to close out with Edward, because in a lot, you know, in so many ways, support for Jimmy during that time, but it's not the real ones who are only there before things happen. It's after, and just the way that I've seen you stand up and how the things I see you do behind the scenes that nobody will ever know about. Nobody will ever know about those things, and you don't need people to know about them. But those things do need to get done. And so thankful that Jimmy set things up in the way he did for his family, and that he's really charged his brother Johnny, Cynthia, you and I, to have the responsibility to carry that on. And you just you have taken that in a way that I just continually admire. So wanted to give it over to you and give you an opportunity to share.
Well, thank you, Brian, and definitely honored to be able to speak just a few words, and I'll be brief. I mean, there's been so many great things that have been said about Jimmy, who he is, who he'll continue to be to many of us, because that's the thing that we get to do here at Symmetry, is build something that's bigger than just this physical form, you know, just our body and our presence being here. And I don't think, like, you know, I'm sure there's some doctors and teachers that you remember and things of that nature, and you're kind of carrying on the legacy that they left with you. You know, they healed you from this, that, or the other, or, you know, taught you something great, and you're passing that down to your children. But what Brandon, Casey, and Brian have allowed us to do here is build something that creates, more teachers and more doctors that get to go and then pour into more people's lives. So like, it's that whole ripple effect, right? Is that we start just something so small, but if we do the things that Jimmy did so well, and that is to work on himself, get better. I think, Ayres, you said it so well, or maybe you're probably paraphrasing someone else who said it, but as his life got harder, he got better. It's one of those sayings that we hear, don't ask for it to be easier, make yourself better, right? And that's what Jimmy continually did. And that's why the Jimmy that I got to meet in 2013 was different than the Jimmy that I got to speak with last Monday. And he's grateful that it's a different Jimmy. I'm grateful, everyone on this call, right? And all those people in his organization and the families that he's touched is grateful that it was a different person. And that's the one thing that I would say and encourage everyone who is hearing this. And, if you're just joining Symmetry, just becoming a part of what we're doing here, like that's the journey that you have to be on, is that journey of self-improvement, and to see that work in his life day after day, and what that led to, what that allowed him to do, the extension, in my opinion, the extension of his life because of that, for him to be able to be around, to marry Cynthia, to have Sierra, to enjoy that time, that came because of the new mindset that he started to adopt. I was talking to a lot of his brothers, and I don't know how many of them, because there's a lot of them, that said, like, we saw it. We saw the change. It's amazing the difference between the guy we grew up with and this person. And then that gets rewarded in the sense of the value that he was given, what he's now able to leave for his wife and daughter, and then the value that's going to continue to multiply even after he's physically no longer with us. So I just wanted to share that. I mean, I've had the opportunity to share a lot with a lot of people about Jimmy, so I won't belabor that. And then the only other thing that I want to admonish all of us to do that Jimmy did a good job is make sure you have a game plan. Make sure you have a game plan. Jimmy kind of saw it coming, right? Like, he wasn't planning on it. He was trying to beat it every step of the way, but he saw the writing on the wall and he took it seriously. And we all know that there is going to be an expiration date on us being here. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And he took the time, and it was tedious. It was laborious. You have to navigate different people's wishes and wants and your wants, and you have to think through what's going to happen if I wasn't here to do this myself. And I'm honored that he chose me to be a part of that. And I know as I go through, Brian, a lot of accounts, he definitely not only was thinking about how can I take care of my family even when I'm not here, but what he did that was the most important part of it is he set up a game plan. He set up a system, right? Like, he learned from the fact that we have a system in Symmetry to build a business. He set up a system for his family so that they're not having to worry. They're not having to run around trying to figure things out right now. They can have peace. They can have time in the morning. The same thing that we talk about to the families that we go out and see when we make a call on a mortgage protection lead or a final expense lead, that promise that you're making to that client, one, we need to be making sure more of that. We're making sure that they're taking care of that so that they can really get that promise. It's not just the money coming in, it's how that's going to work, what it's going to do, right? And then as we build our businesses here, we all need to be very intentional. It's great to have that agency owner contract and say, oh, my wife or my husband is going to get my business if something were to happen to me. All right, so then what's going to happen? What's going to be next? And he was so intentional about getting that set up ahead of time. And if I'm learning anything from having to go through this process and learning more about this process, I didn't know, as I knew a little bit, but not as much as I'm now learning, is that we all need to be that intentional. That's true care. That's love, right? Confronting the hard things when you maybe don't want to think. He didn't want to think about dying. He was going to win, right? But he took the time to think about just in case, because he knew who he was protecting. He thought about Sierra. He knew that she had to be taken care of, not for a year or 2 or 3, but I mean, literally, Brian, it's as long as this keeps running, which I gather we're going to be doing this for quite a while. I don't see us slowing down anytime soon. Sierra and Cynthia are going to be taken care of and provided for, and that's tremendous. It's amazing. What else can you do that can allow for that? In 8 short years, he was able to build something like that. So that legacy, what he's done there, what we get to continue to carry on for him, I hope people really take it to heart, what you have your hands on here, and can live a life like what he did and what he built. And honored to have been able to call him a friend. We'll continue to call him a friend and continue to work to carry that legacy that he started. And it's just going to continue on. And Brian, just all that you've done, you've been there in a physical way that, when you talk about friendship and brotherhood, there's something that you just can't really be put into words. And the fact that we can build that kind of relationship and build a business together it's a rare thing. It doesn't happen. So appreciate all that you've done through this process. And I know moving forward, it's going to continue to be great for Jimmy's family. What his purpose and his causes will continue to thrive and grow, and excited to continue to build strong relationships like the one that we got to experience with Jimmy. So thank you all.
Awesome. I want to channel my inner Jimmy for a second to get clear on some things. And you just heard from a lot of people, and like I said, there's so many more people who have been so impactful, namely Mike and Sarah Pappas, and that was on me. And there's so many other people who he had a big impact on. But here's the one thing that we do as a company. We've told a story for a long time. We told a story about Jimmy's struggle. We've told a story about Jimmy's struggle, and see, there's a lot of people on here right now who have that same story of struggle, but they haven't seen it through. See, the reason we get to share Jimmy's story of struggle is because it started off with a Craigslist ad of looking for leaders, and he showed up here looking for something different. Not only looking for something different outside of himself, but looking for something different inside. He wanted to be the type of person that other people were proud of. He wanted to be the type of person that he could be proud of. And he was making dials and wasn't having a lot of success. Maybe you're like, well, I'm just like Jimmy. And I want to tell you, you're absolutely wrong. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. You're not. Not yet. You're not. See, he would leave phone team in front of other people, failing in front of people with tears in his eyes, not sure if he was going to make it the next one. And he didn't say, oh, this way is hard. He said, I will find a way. And the reason we talk about his struggle is because of the height of his success. See, everybody has a story of struggle, but not everyone has earned the right to tell that yet. And he didn't calling some leads. He didn't give up his legacy. He didn't cop out on his wife and on his family because the leads were difficult. See, he sat and didn't make sales. That wasn't going to stop him either. There were times in this business where he was not doing well in this business, whether it was on production and coaching. And what he did was he decided, instead of other things needing to be simpler, he decided to get himself bigger tools and to grow himself into the type of person who could not only get through it himself, but see other people through it as well. He wasn't going to be the type of leader ever that said it's lonely at the top, because he knew how many stinking people he was bringing with him. And he acted like that from the first minute. It was a foregone conclusion that he would win, because he knew the depths of strength that he could pull into, and how big of a pull of courage other people would be able to have. And I just want to encourage you that you may not know right now how your story is going to impact other people, because when Jimmy looked at me, he got the self-belief, and he said, if that guy can do it, I can do it. And when he went to his first conference, he decided to drop all the conditions to his success and say, no matter what, I'm going to find a way to make this happen. And I watched a man go from
being on track to making $30,000 in his first year, to watching him 2 months after conference put $30,000 in his checking account in a month, hire somebody, help them go from making $10,000 in their first year to making $40,000 a month, being completely financially free, and setting up a domino effect for hundreds and hundreds of other people who were directly impacted by the fact that he saw his story through it, and he didn't quit because it was hard. He played harder because he knew it was within him, and the other people around him would give him strength to do that. And I just want you to be clear that if you might make some dials, you might do some things. Just understand that it's not about the difficulty of the situation. It's about the quality of your perseverance through that problem. And that's exactly what Jimmy did. I would get into his car, and every single time I would hear SFG audio, to the point where at one point I had to eject an SFG audio and throw it out the window. And I said, man, it's okay. You're good enough at this, man. It's time to give up the belt. And that's what he did. He gave up the belt, and he gave up the recognition that mattered so much, because that was something he didn't get a lot of from some of the most important people. His mom was just such a rock, and his family was such a rock, but there were certain people who just never gave him the recognition. And that's all he was looking for, was, I want to be somebody that other people can be proud of. And instead of seeking that out his whole life and being needy, he learned how to be that voice for other people and teach them how to be proud of themselves, and teach them how to do things and become someone who they could be proud of. And he didn't give up, and he didn't give up. And he continued to push, and he continued to push to make this company better by raising the bar, removing excuses, and providing a pathway for people like you and me to be able to hit the next level, and always challenging, and always changing. And I just want to tell everybody who's still on this that this is about more than business. This is about more than business. And the day you realize this is not about the job or the work for a living, that this is about the life's work, and the relationships you build here are more important than any money that you make. But on the way to making those relationships, you will make a ton of money, because you'll learn how to become a person of extraordinary value. That's when you'll finally get it. And you'll, as Casey and Brandon always used to say, you'll get the joke. You'll get the joke that this is simple and we can be great. You'll get the joke that not only can you be great, but other people can too. And you can help them do that, not by holding their hand and lifting them up, but by pointing them toward a system that is great and being an example of what's possible and what's necessary. And that's what we get to stand on today. We get to stand, when we say that we're not tall, we get to stand on the shoulders of giants. Jimmy has now become one of those giants that we all get the benefit of standing on his shoulders. And I want you to know that that's possible for you. And one day someone will be telling your story, and what kind of story they tell, that is up to you right now. And that is how you see out throughout the rest of this year. And that is how you're going to see this upcoming Friday after Thanksgiving. Are you going to be looking for discounts? Are you going to be looking to create an amazing cash flow that has you never worried about discounts again, right? Are you going to be talking about holidays, weeks, or months? Are you going to be putting yourself into a position where you wait for the new year to change? Or are you going to start changing yourself right now by being willing to ask yourself the hard questions that other people avoid? Because most won't, few will, and that's why the few will always lead the most. That's why it happens, and that's how it happens. I'm damn proud of the example that Jimmy Spieldener set for all of us to be great. And I live in that example, and it's my responsibility to continue on with that. And if you're one of the people who put a message, it's yours too. And his watch is done. He's still here. He's just not right here. He's not right here, but you're here, and it's time to pick up that legacy where he put it down for us and take it to the next level. And so I'm just so thankful, Jimmy, and we'll see you again, buddy. I know you guys have a song to play, and yeah, appreciate you guys. Love you guys, and thank you for everything.
Thank you, Brian. It's beautiful, man. We appreciate you, buddy. I think it's all been said for sure. Thanks to Joel Skeen for this song and for giving all of us the ability to go in and support Jimmy's things that were close to his heart. So keep your eye on social media. We'd love for you to download the song. There's a minimum of $5, but there is no maximum. So if you want to donate to that cause, we'd love for you to do that. Hopefully we will see all of you and more tonight, starting at 7:00. I think it's 7:00, Casey, right? Whatever the email says.
Either 6 or 7. Depends
We'll
on
be
where
down
you
there
live.
at 5 o'clock. So, but
Grateful for all of you. Grateful for Jimmy.
absolutely.
See you guys tonight. Enjoy
See
the
you tonight.
song.
Let's hear that song.
When you let someone in, really under your skin, it's always a roll of the dice. 'Cause the door goes both ways. Coming doesn't mean you stay. I always had to think twice. When rolling the dice. But you became my brother. Never let no other cover every part of me. Now you're gone, I will not lie. I won't think twice. I'd roll the dice again. You taught me how courage felt, that a man's gotta make himself, and how to get up off the ground. You always wanted what was right, even when I gave a fight. You called me up when I was down.